Welcome to Writing Black Joy Season 1. I am Sophia Robinson, and I'm a writing coach, editor, story listener, and the producer of Writing Black Joy, a virtual space that celebrates and centers the voices of Black writers with joyful stories. Here, you'll find my conversations with some of my favorite Black writers and storytellers, learn more about their projects and the joy they are bringing into the world, and find inspiration for your own creative ventures, as well as tips for writing poetry, blogs, creative nonfiction, fiction, plays, and so much more from all types of writers, as well as a sneak peek into writing life. You could even find your next favorite writer, book, poem, play, or blog. And if you are a Black writer who is looking for a coach or an editor to help you bring your joyful story into the world, click on my website below and find out how you can work with me. In the meantime, let's go to today's guest. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. And today I have with me the lovely Lavelle. Lavelle is a new person I've met recently as I was on her podcast, and she's going to tell you a little bit about that shortly. And she is also the author and also from the Caribbean, so obviously near and dear to my heart. And her book is called V is for Virgin Islands, the vibrant place that I call home, which just, I'm an island girl, so that spoke to me immediately. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me, Lavelle.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, and I am glad to have you here. So this is all about Lavelle today, and I would love for you to start off by telling me a little bit about your writing journey. I know we spoke a bit about this when we recorded the episode for your podcast, but I'd love you to tell my audience a bit about your journey. How did you come to write your book? Tell me all the things.
Oh gosh, so where do you want me to start?
Start wherever you
would like. Long journey, I'll tell you that. Oh, and I have it here too. So for your audience,
Can you show it to us? Because we are recording some video here. So if you have it there, I'd love.
Oh, I have it.
Let's see.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to it, but hold on, I want to show you something else.
Okay, perfect.
So no problem. For the writing journey, I have been writing since like elementary school, and I am just one of those people who like have all the books that I've been writing. And I pulled it out yesterday because I was talking to somebody else about it, and they were like, I have these notebooks that I need to get rid of that I wrote from like way back when, but this is mine. From like 6th grade. Look how old this book looks.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Do you know?
I have like all the things in here that I've written from like back then to now. And I always felt like, writing was one of the things that I was supposed to do. But then you get in that space where everybody was like, no, that's not going to pay the bills. You're supposed to go get a job. You're supposed to go to college. Like these are the things that you're supposed to be doing. So writing for me took a back burner while I did those things. I went to school. I got the job. I started doing everything else but the things that I love to do. And I was like, this writing thing was still in me. And I have like so many, like that book, I have so many things that I started to write that I just didn't finish. And I was like, you know what? Especially during that, right when the pandemic was happening, I'm like, I'm supposed to be writing. So let me go write this book. And I didn't even write one of the books that I was like close to finishing. I just completely wrote like a completely different book, which was funny to me. But then I was like, okay, well, this is just what flowed. And this is, I guess, what was meant to come out at the time. I have 2 small kids. One is 2 years old now, and the other one is 6. So I was like, okay, well, I'm from the Virgin Islands, and I want to teach them some things about where I'm from, where me and their dad is from. So I'm like, okay, well, this would be the perfect book. So this is why I wrote this. V is for Virgin Islands, the vibrant place that I call home. So this was the first thing that I've actually published.
And it
wasn't even what I was thinking about.
Yeah, and we all know, like anybody who's written one book knows, like there are more books in there, so don't even worry about it. I see your notebook, so I know that there'll be more stuff coming from you soon. And I love that you have decided to write this book for your kids to know a bit more about the Virgin Islands. Have you, I know you said you published it, have you had a lot of other parents buy it, like maybe their kids, they're also from the Virgin Islands, or maybe they're not and they want to teach their kids more about the Caribbean? Like what type of people have been buying it?
a lot of people from back home have been buying it. I'm trying to market it more too, so people who are living in the States who also have those kids that are growing up here and they want their kids to know about home. But the other thing that I found, which I think was really interesting, because my mom said it and then my dad said it too. So they sold the book to like elementary school teachers back home, and they're like using it in the classrooms. And I was like,
Love
oh,
that.
that is so awesome.
I love that. And the thing is, and so I don't have any kids, but I have a nephew. He's 7, and my sister. We take him to the beach. He loves the beach. So we took him to the beach the other day. And my sister said to me, he said to her, because you're from the Caribbean, so maybe like everybody's auntie, whether it is like his mother's sisters are auntie, but there's also like her friends, but there's also like the people from the nursery. Everybody's auntie, and so. He said to her, he made some comment to her about our sister, because there are 3 of us. And she was like, how can he not know that the 3 of us are sisters? And I was like, but did you ever tell him? Because right. I think sometimes but no, I think we take it for granted, even you grow up in an environment, in a family environment, or grow up in a place, that people will know about those things just through osmosis. And sometimes I feel like we actually forget to tell them and to teach them certain things. And the same thing applies to knowing things about home. Like, you think they're going to automatically know about maybe the history of the Virgin Islands, or they're going to automatically know like maybe what type of island it is or whatever, but they're not going to automatically know anything. So I love that, even the schools at home are using the book to kind of educate children there about the Virgin Islands too, because everybody needs to know, whether you live there or not. You can't assume that just because you live there that you automatically gonna know stuff. So that's just so incredible. I really, really love that. So do you have any immediate ideas for another one? Are you working on anything else? And
well, for this one, I actually want to do a series, because I don't know, I'm like a series person. I think in 3s. So this one was for like the little kids. I say the next one that I want to do would be more for the older kids who are like too advanced for like ABCs, right? I want to do another one for the older kids, and then I want to do one for the adults that has like Caribbean recipes and drinks in there that they can try from the Virgin Islands. So I'm like, that's my 3 series right there.
I'm gonna need a copy of that one. So just put my name down right now.
I got you.
Yeah, you need to make sure I have a copy of that one. That's such a great idea. I love that. So for those who may not have seen the previous episodes of this, you might be like, what's going on here? This project, and I would have told Lavelle as well, is called Writing Black Joy, and it's all about the joyful stories of Black authors all over the world. Like, Lavelle's from the Virgin Islands, from Caribbean, close to me, but I've also had another children's author, and she is all the way from Nigeria. And similarly to you, she wrote that book because she wanted her kids to know about historical figures from Africa. So we have so many people from all over the world joining this project and really feeling like these stories are important to share. So I would love you to tell us, why do you think these stories are important to share with, not just with your children, but with like children in general?
Well, I think children in general need to learn about places all over the world, right? Like you said, not just where they're from, but learning other people's culture, other people's history, because that's how they grow and learn, right? They can, even if they don't travel there, they can read these things through the books. So that's what I love about it, that they don't have to go to the Virgin Islands to learn about it. They can just grab this book and they read them like, oh, that's awesome. Maybe I want to go there one day. So that's what I love. And this book actually comes with a free companion guide, because it's a teaching tool as well. So there are elements that I put specifically in the book so that while you're reading it with your kids, like they're learning different things as well.
I love that so much. That is really, really useful. And I think that's good, especially if you have the book being distributed in schools. It's nice to have that guide to go along with it, so that the teachers can just like make the most of it and really, teach the kids a lot more and just start conversations too, because you know how kids are. They love to talk, they love to ask questions. And so it's nice to have that sort of partner guide there, so that they know exactly, how they can use the book to really teach with children. I'm going to put you a bit on the spot here, and if you can't answer it now, we can circle back to it later. But I'd love to know if there is a quote, either from your work or from someone you admire, that you would love to share with us.
Oh, I don't know. I have to think.
That's fine.
If it's not a quote, because this is what I have at my desk right now, because this is what motivates me, which is a Bible verse that I
Go
have
ahead.
here on
Yeah,
my desk, which
sure.
says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened and do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." That's Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. I keep that because I need to remind myself to stop being afraid of all these things that I have not been doing. So I just have it there as that reminder that he put it in you. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So don't be afraid of it, right?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that is perfect. It doesn't have to necessarily be a quote from any particular person, but that is beautiful. And it's really a good reminder to have it every day, like right there in your face,
Yeah,
like,
that's
you
right
know,
in my face.
right in your, you need that sometimes. You need that as a reminder. Tell me, what has been your proudest moment as a writer?
Getting the book published. Getting
Ah,
it published.
me
It
too.
has to be, because like I said, like I have all of these things that I've written that have just not been published. And I'm like, that's why I wrote it and I just put it out there. I wasn't even trying to go to like different, what do you call them, publishers and stuff. I'm like, I'm just gonna put it out there myself. I don't have the time to wait for that.
And I think like there'll be time for that. There'll be time for, you know, whatever distribution and stuff like that. But I love that you just took that first step of like, I'm gonna put this out there. It'll be fine, and it's good. I'm gonna ask you some questions. Maybe I'll ask them now about the actual process. Like the thing about children's books, and then you know, have discussed this with other guests, is like there's also the whole issue of the drawings and the
Oh yeah,
illustration. How did you navigate that?
girl. So one of the things, that was one of the other things that was holding me up, because I was trying to find an illustrator from the Virgin Islands, or at least somebody Caribbean, and I couldn't. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna let that stop me. So I ended up doing it myself. I'm not an artist. I didn't draw
What?
it. No, but I don't know if you've used the tool Canva before.
Yeah.
So I used the tool Canva to actually do my own graphics in the book. The only thing that I didn't do was the cover. I actually found somebody who's back home that did the cover, but everything that's in the book, I did it.
Oh
As you
my
can tell.
goodness. I am so, listen, no, I absolutely love that. I have another friend who is working on a children's book. And actually, I've got a few friends who want to work on children's book. And this is always the thing that holds them back,
Yeah.
right?
And I'm
And
like,
I'm
that's
like,
not gonna, I'm like, no
no,
excuses, I'm gonna put it out there. So I'm like, I
oh,
was tired of
that
waiting, so I did it myself.
that is fantastic. There's an author who is my friend's brother. He's also from Barbados, but he lives in the UK, and I'm also trying to get him for this project. So we'll see if I can get him. But he also wrote a book for his children, and it's a fantasy book. And it is about these princesses and princes who are all like different ethnicities and stuff like that. I'll put the name in the show notes for this because it's totally, I don't want to butcher it and I don't want to say it wrong. So I'll put the name in the show notes. But basically, he has a Caribbean illustrator.
Oh yeah,
And
I need that.
so yeah, I want to reach out to her. I know this is not really a project for authors, but I'm just like, I need to reach out to her because those drawings were absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And I even bought that book for my nephew, and I loved it so much. So
Yeah, you better send me those show notes too, because I need to see who that illustrator is.
I absolutely will. So I love that. And I love that you just took it upon yourself to do it yourself, because I think that takes a lot of courage to just kind of be like, you know what, I'm not going to let anything stand in my way from doing this thing that I so wanted to do. So the book is actually called Nia and the Kingdoms of Celebration. It's by Philip Robinson and it's illustrated by Cherise Harris. So
I've seen that name. Oh, I feel like I've seen that name before in a lot of things that I was looking at.
Yes. So anyway, anybody watching this or listening to this, I'm going to call my friend whose brother is actually the author and see if I can get some more information. So hopefully by the time this airs, I'll have some more stuff to put on the show notes. And if not, hopefully I'll even get him to come and do an interview with me. But let's get back to Lavelle. So I love that you actually illustrated that yourself. And, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing your next one, to seeing your next two, your next three, your next how many ever you decide to work on. So tell me, what's been the hardest part of this journey so far?
The hardest part is, I don't want to say finding the time because like it just flipped out when I had it, but the hardest part is probably like when you're done, like what do you do next, right? Because you're not going through the traditional way where they're the ones that are going to do the marketing for you and they're the ones that are going to like schedule interviews. So it's like you have to put that work in yourself. There's nobody else that's going to do it for you, and you have to be disciplined enough to say, okay, I did this book, I created it, and now I need to get it out into the world. I think that's the hardest part. And what I ended up doing was on like Facebook, because that's the channel that I had. So I did like a preview week, the week that I was publishing the book on Facebook, and I went live like every day during that week. And that's how I just started pushing it out there.
I love that. And don't believe the hype. I've heard so many authors speaking about even having their books traditionally published and still having to do some of that marketing themselves. And so I think it's really important as an author, regardless of whether you decide you're going to go traditionally published or decide you're going to self-publish, to get to know a bit of that process, that marketing process, that, kind of like putting yourself out there, building a platform. And basically that's just having people who are like, yeah, Lavelle wrote this book, whatever she writes, I want that. And just making sure that you are, finding those people wherever they are. Right, and connecting with people who can put you in touch with other people. So I'm hoping that through this project, maybe you can get a few more readers. So everybody go and buy Lavelle's book for your kids. There's my little plug. But I'm gonna try and get a copy for my nephew as well, because the thing is he's 7, so I don't know if it would be the right age for him, but he loves books. He loves books. He's like all of us, so he might like having it and just like seeing the pictures and stuff like that too. So we will see. So you said you have been writing from the time you were younger. I saw that notebook. I absolutely love it. Tell me a bit about any activities or rituals or anything that you find really helps you if you have any writer's block, or if you are kind of struggling with getting a piece, moving along. Or do you never have writer's block? You just write?
Well, not that I don't have writer's block, it's finding the time. The hardest part for me is finding the time. Because like I said, I have these 2 littles. Right now she's back in school because school just started back. So one of them at least leaves the house for the day, but the other one is still here. And then during that, I'm still like, I'm a virtual assistant. So I'm at home just the time, mostly working for my clients. So it's just finding that time. And for me, it's hard now, but I think eventually, and especially as he gets older and can go to school, it'll be easier for me to find that time.
I love that you're a virtual assistant. I'm going to ask you right at the end to tell us a bit more about what you do so that you can see because listen, this morning I was putting together some of the social media posts for this project, and I'm just like, I do not have the skills for this. So
I got you.
I'm going to remember this. You are a virtual assistant. I might be calling you after we hang up the phone, but that time piece is hard. So how did you find the time to do it?
So like what I have to do now, like I just told you, I locked the door. The kids are out of the room. My husband, he was actually just home for a second and then he just had to leave again. So I'm like, you just keep them concentrating enough so that they can focus and not remember that mommy's not downstairs, because the minute my son remembers, oh wait a minute, where's mommy, he's going to be up here pounding at that door. But it's doing things like that. Like if I have to tell my husband, hey, you need to take the kids for like 30 minutes and just go somewhere so I can lock myself in a room and just have that time. Or what I do, like now that my daughter's back in school and my son is at home, is like if he's asleep and I know he's going to be asleep for a little while, then even if I don't have like client work to do, then I might use that time for myself. Like finding those pockets of time where I can just do writing or do thinking about whatever it is that I need to do for the writing process.
Yeah, which is, yeah. And I mean, I think, even people, I know quite a few writers who have full-time jobs or whatever. And it's like, even for me, I have to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning if I want to write. Otherwise, when I come back home from work and my brain is tired,
right?
Nonsense. Nothing is happening. So I cannot even. So yeah, I think that I'm glad that you've managed to find the time to do that, even with the kids and, running a business, all of that. That's really, really incredible.
It's little pockets of time, but those little bit, they help.
Yeah. So are you the sort of person then that writes, can write in like 15 minutes at a time? I know some people always say like, I need an hour, but I feel like, no, I can write in 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, that's all I have. So that's what I have to
Yeah,
use.
that's what you use. I love that. No, I think going with using what you have and just setting that goal is what really, really, truly makes a difference. What would you tell a prospective writer, somebody who really wanted to go down the path of writing maybe a kid's book?
I would say, start where you are, get out of the researching and trying to figure out all these things that you're supposed to be doing, and just start writing the book and then having that product so that you can move forward, because it makes no sense if you're going to just keep researching and doing all that stuff when there is nothing. All right. So you need to actually finish the book, even if it's not like perfect, because it's never going to be perfect the first time or the second time that you're done with it. It's never going to be perfect. So just write, get to the end, and then continue to move forward.
And one thing I wanted to ask you about as well was your podcast. Tell us a little bit about that as well, because I mean, for somebody who doesn't have any time, I'm just blown away by all the things you do. Tell me about your podcast.
Look, I had to all those years that I let pass by. Now it's like, okay, I can't keep saying that, so I have to do something. So my podcast is called Drop the Aspiring Act, and it's something that I started in 2020, right when the pandemic was starting, because from 2018, actually going back from 2018, I said I wanted to do a podcast, but I was like, I don't have the time. That's when my son was born as well. So I'm like, okay, now I really don't have the time. So I just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, the same way that I did the book, right? I've written all these things from young, and I haven't put any of that stuff out there. So in 2020, right before the pandemic happened, I said, I'm going to start a podcast. Then the pandemic started, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm still going to do it anyway. So I started the podcast, and what it's about is, and especially I needed it for myself, right? The podcast is for people who are stuck in that aspiring phase for whatever reason, whether it be time, whether it be you're busy comparing yourself to others, or you're still stuck in research mode. So it's empowering those women to know that they can get out of that aspiring phase if they push themselves, and they can move into whatever that is, whether they're an author, a dancer, a creative, a business owner, whatever it is that you're aspiring to be. You should go out there and start being that thing.
Perfect. No problem at all. Hello to kids. Don't worry about the interruptions. It's absolutely fine by me. We are almost ready to wrap up, but that podcast is incredible. You guys should check it out. And if anybody out there is aspiring to be an author, then I hope that this has given you the fire that you need to jump in there and start doing the thing. So what are you reading at the moment?
So right now I'm reading Bridgerton, and I try to remember the name of the, I think it's the 4th book in that Bridgerton series. The one with Eloise, where she finds her mate. I don't know if you've heard of Bridgerton or watched it. It's like
I watched the first season, and I actually downloaded the first couple of books. So that's on my list of things. My reading list is endless. So I will get to it eventually, but I love the series on Netflix. I'm looking forward to the book.
Yeah, when I saw the series on Netflix, I'm like, I have to go get this book. And even though it didn't come in order, I have not read 1, 2, or 3 yet, but the library released book 4, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna just jump into book 4.
That's what we're reading. No, so
that's what I'm currently reading.
Yeah, and that is perfect. I love that. A little bit of just like I call it like brain candy, just reading a book, which is fun. So yeah,
just get out of the world and just jump into a book. That's what I like. And I'm usually reading it like late at night when I'm trying to like get him to go to sleep. So while he's going to sleep, I'm with the phone like this.
I love that so much. So tell the audience where we can find you. You said you're a virtual assistant. Tell us a little bit about your business as well.
So my virtual assistant business, I help online business owners and entrepreneurs to get time back in their day, time back in their life. And especially if you're not a tech person, my whole background is in tech. That's what I went to school for. I see. I'm the type of person that can jump in and figure the tech out so you don't have to, basically. So I can help. I love automating things. I love integrating things. I love making sure that you don't have to be doing all this stuff manually day to day. Just bring me in. I'll figure it out, and then you'll be good to go. So that's what I do during the daytime. But on my book, like for the Caribbean stuff, it's islandgirlchronicles.com, which is my blog where I that's the Caribbean side of me.
Yes.
That's why I post all the Caribbean stuff over there.
Love it, love it, love it. So I'm gonna just drop. I have a whole page that I'm creating for every guest, where I have all everywhere you can find them. So I'll have that there on the page. And so by the time you've listened or watched this interview, you'll be able to find out everything you need to know about Lavelle. So that is perfect. And honestly, one thing I was saying to a friend of mine recently, especially for this whole project, is that my tech skills do not match my dreams. Okay. Like in my mind, I had this dream of like, you know, these emails going out and this website and whatever. And now that I'm putting it together, I'm just like, dude, you don't have any tech skills. Like I am struggling hard over here. So I definitely am have to give you a shout for sure. But in the meantime, I hope that you are able to continue writing, continue your blog, continue writing your books, continue with your business, you know, hanging out with the kids, everything. And just, yeah, setting those goals and making them a reality. You definitely are not an aspiring anything.
I'm trying not to be that. I have to live up to the name of the podcast.
You are not an aspiring anything. Thank you so very much. I really appreciate you. Thanks for coming on, Lavelle. And thank you to those of you who are watching. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Thank you for joining us today. You can find out more about our guests in the notes below, and don't forget to hit subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss new episodes when they drop. And if this has inspired you to get your own writing project into the world, click on my website below and learn how you can work with me as a writing coach or an editor. Until next time, I send you big love from a small island.